September 1943, Salerno, Italy. In the middle of the night, a German mortar position hears men coming through the dark, and a British officer walks out of the shadows holding a medieval Scottish broadsword. By sunrise, he and one corporal have taken 42 prisoners with a sword. The Second World War was fought with tanks, bombers, and rifles. One man fought it with a longbow, a broadsword, and a set of bagpipes. His own men explained him in one word: mad. This is the story of Lieutenant Colonel John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill, Mad Jack. And the maddest part of the story is that all of it is documented. Well, almost all of it. We'll get to that. Jack Churchill was born in 1906 into a family of colonial civil servants. No relation to Winston, a detail that would one day matter a great deal. Commissioned into the Manchester Regiment in 1926, he spent a decade in Burma, being constitutionally incapable of boredom. He rode a motorcycle 1,500 miles from Rangoon to Calcutta, crossing rivers on railway bridges with no planking. He learned the bagpipes, an Englishman, taught by a Scottish pipe major, which both nations regarded as a scandal. Peacetime defeated him in a way no enemy ever would. He quit the army in 1936 and drifted gloriously. Newspaper editor in Nairobi, male model, movie extra. He drew a bow on screen in The Thief of Baghdad. The archery wasn't a costume. In 1939, Jack Churchill shot for Britain at the World Archery Championships in Oslo. Then Germany invaded Poland, and the most relieved man in England rejoined his old regiment. Jack Churchill went to France with the British Expeditionary Force, carrying his service revolver, his bagpipes, and a longbow. In May 1940, at a village called Lepinette, his patrol ambushed a German position. By his own account, Jack opened the ambush by putting an arrow through the chest of a German sergeant, the last recorded longbow kill in the history of warfare. Is it true? Here's the honest answer. No German record confirms it, and years later, Jack himself muddied the story, saying his bows had been crushed by a truck earlier in the campaign. The legend rests on his word, and Jack's word was always better entertainment than evidence. What is documented? He fought through the retreat to Dunkirk with conspicuous disregard for German machine guns, won the Military Cross, and got off the beach. Back in England, the army asked for volunteers for a new kind of unit, the Commandos. Jack volunteered immediately. He later admitted he had no idea what a commando was, but it sounded dangerous. December 27, 1941. Operation Archery, the commando raid on the German garrison at Vågsøy, Norway. Jack Churchill is second in command, standing at the front of the landing craft as it runs toward the beach. As the ramp dropped, he stood up in full view of the German guns and played the March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes. Then he threw a grenade, drew his sword, and charged. The battery on Molloy Island was overrun in under 10 minutes. He came out of Norway wounded and with a bar to his military cross. The sword, the pipes, the lunatic calm under fire, the legend now had witnesses. When a superior asked why he carried a sword into battle, Jack gave the answer that became his epitaph. Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed. July 1943, he led No. 2 Commando ashore in Sicily, broadsword at his belt, longbow and arrows on his back, pipes under his arm. And then came Salerno, and the night this story began. The commandos were ordered to take a village called Piegoletti in the hills above the beachhead. Jack's plan was pure theatre, 6 parallel columns advancing through the dark, every man screaming the single word, "Commando," at the top of his lungs. The German defenders, convinced they were being attacked by a force 10 times the real size, fired at shadows. In the chaos, Jack and a corporal named Ruffle got ahead of everyone and found a mortar position. Jack walked into it sword first, took the sentry from behind, and used him as a shield while he woke the rest of the crew, one foxhole at a time. 42 prisoners. He marched them back down the hill, wounded men on carts, sword in hand, like, in his own words, an image from the 100 Years' War. It won him the Distinguished Service Order, and when he realized he'd lost his sword in the scuffle, he went back into the village alone that night and got it. By 1944, Jack commanded No. 2 Commando from the island of Vis, fighting alongside Tito's partisans on the Yugoslav coast. That spring, he led a force of 1,500 partisans and commandos against the German-held island of Brač, a hill the maps called Point 622. The attack went wrong from the start. A friendly Spitfire strafed his mortar line, the partisan battalions stalled. The next day, Jack led the renewed assault himself, and only 7 men reached the top with him. German mortar fire killed or wounded every one of them except Jack. So the last man standing on Point 622 did the only thing left in his arsenal. He stood up amid the dead and played Will Ya No Come Back Again on his bagpipes until a German grenade knocked him unconscious. The Germans flew their prisoner to Berlin. They had captured a commando colonel named Churchill, and they became convinced they were holding a relative of the Prime Minister. He wasn't. He let them believe it. The mistake almost certainly kept him alive. Commandos under Hitler's secret order were routinely executed. Jack was sent instead to Sachsenhausen concentration camp as a prisoner too valuable to shoot. In September 1944, he crawled out of Sachsenhausen through an abandoned drain with an RAF officer and walked for days toward the Baltic coast before being recaptured almost within sight of the sea. In the last weeks of the war, the SS moved him with 140 VIP prisoners into the Tyrolean Alps. The prisoners believed they were being taken somewhere quiet to be shot. They were saved when a regular German army unit faced down the SS guards, one of the strangest standoffs of the war. In the confusion, Jack Churchill simply walked away. He crossed the Alps on foot, 93 miles in 8 days on a sprained ankle, and strolled into Verona, where he flagged down an American armored column and introduced himself with a parade ground salute. Most men would call that a complete war. Jack Churchill demanded a transfer to the Pacific. He was on his way to fight Japan when the atomic bombs ended the war. He reportedly grumbled, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going another 10 years. Peace, his old enemy, kept coming for him, and Jack kept dodging. He qualified as a parachutist at nearly 40. In Palestine in 1948, he led a dozen men against hundreds to try to save an ambushed medical convoy, then helped evacuate 700 patients and staff from a hospital under siege. Posted to Australia as an instructor, he discovered the ocean and became a surfer. Back home on the 21st of July 1955, Jack Churchill became the first man ever to surf the tidal bore of the River Severn on a 14-foot board he built himself. He was 48 years old, riding a river wave no one had ridden in the history of England, because of course he was. He retired in 1959 with the DSO and bar, the Military Cross and bar, and a reputation no fiction editor would accept. Commuters on his train line swore he hurled his briefcase out of the window every evening. They never knew he was throwing it into his own back garden to save carrying it from the station. Jack Churchill died on the 8th of March 1996, his 55th wedding anniversary, at the age of 89. One obituary noted that if he were a character in a novel, no one would believe him. A longbow, a broadsword, a set of bagpipes, and one rule to the end: an officer without his sword is improperly dressed. If this story was worth 15 minutes of your time, subscribe. We bring back one forgotten soldier every day.